All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jason. Welcome to part one of our implementing success for contractors and webinar. We're excited to go over industry pain points and the relevance of cloud solutions to enhance safety, management, and tracking. I'm here part of the marketing team at Imperium Dynamics, and joining me today is our marketing specialist, Brittany Olvera. Welcome, Brittany.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Hi, Jason.
If you're new and joining us here today, we are Imperium Dynamics, a proud Microsoft partner based downtown in Chicago, dedicated to bringing your vision to life within the Microsoft stack. We aim to help organizations of all sizes achieve their digital transformation by solving complex problems and delivering long-lasting impact through the Microsoft Cloud solutions, with, of course, a focus on increasing both capabilities of people and the performance of businesses. Before we dive in, let's go over some housekeeping items. This session is being recorded and will be available on our website. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll address them throughout the session. Also, a copy of today's slides will be shared after the webinar, so don't worry too much about taking notes. Now that we've covered the logistics, let's take a look at today's agenda. Today, in part one, we'll just be going over pain points and some examples such as top fines and examples of industry fines, accident prevention, logging and compliance, workforce productivity, project management, cost management, and customer relations. We'll also be talking about the relevance of cloud solutions in this industry. So let's get started. To begin, Brittany will talk us through the top fines and some industry examples.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Hi, everyone. So, first, before we get into the challenges, I really quickly wanted to talk about the some stats and the data from 2024, as it will give a better understanding of what to look for now and for your business. So the top sites of 2024, according to OSHA, was one, fall protection at 6,307 reports submitted. And with that, number two would be hazard communications at 2,888. Third one is ladders at 2,573. Fourth would be respiratory protection at 2,470. And the last one is control of hazardous energy with 2,443 reports submitted. Now, at the bottom, looking at the top fines from OSHA, we see that construction businesses were fined the most. And the top fine was incurred on a construction group, which totaled up to $1,017,248 because of repeatedly exposing their workers to fall hazards. The second was a plumbing and utility business with a total fee of 3,800 a 300,800, sorry, $125,000 for improper training, which unfortunately led to lives lost. And then the third highest was yet another construction group with a total of $306,000 with 229 dollars, again because of repeatedly exposing their workers to fall hazards. So we're seeing a trend here of all the total fines that were incurred in 2024, again for these top three companies, and the reason for it. And despite the highest fines not having any lives lost, these are repeatable offenses that multiply and hinder profitability. So now with that, let's look at the increased fines for this year on the next slide. Great. So as you know, accident prevention compliance is not a cheap mistake, right? And it's starting in January of this year. Serious and other than serious violations can now be up to $16,550 per violation with failure to abate beyond the initial violation date, which is an additional $16,550 per day. And in addition to the cost, for repeated violations, these can cost over $100,000. With that, safety is also more than just complying to avoid fees, right? It's about elevating the industry standard. So stats show that the need for better measures to shift customers and employees' perspective is at a greater rate. So practices such as transparent accident logging create a strong safety culture, which overall builds trust among employees and clients. At the bottom there, we have some data that states that 1 in 5 lives lost in the workplace occur in the construction industry, which is why now more than ever, companies need to look at not only complying with OSHA, but how to reduce those numbers for them and their current loyal workers. And moving on to workforce productivity, some of the challenges include having multiple sites and the lack of centralized communication. So, with multiple project sites, it can be easy to lose track of everyone on each individual site, what they're doing, and be 100% certain that there are no preventable accidents that we can solve, and then again efficiency losses. So with having all of these multiple sites and all of these different areas comes sort of this burden of not being able to be everywhere at once. And this ultimately leads to administrative burden and taking a hit on efficiency. And with this, there is a lack of real time data, and not being able to inspect each site makes it more difficult to identify these bottlenecks. And another stat here is across multiple sites, 60% of general contractors see problems in coordination and communication between them, which leads us to another issue in workforce productivity, and it's the lack of having a centralized communication platform. So, on top of having all of these multiple sites, the split of job roles such as project managers, overall managers, and other employees add another layer of complexity to communicate and keeping track of previous conversations and previous updates and more important relevant information. So this creates fragmented information flows that are disturbing the speed in which updates are relied. So this means that if a project needs to pivot, the decision to do so will be delayed, creating even more inefficiencies. And along with this, without a place for the entire team to communicate, this can create an unclear expectation between different levels of roles. So, with a centralized communication platform, people can hold themselves and each other with unresponsiveness. And after all, another stat here is that 30.9% of industry professionals say that the top reason for miscommunication is due to unresponsiveness into questions and requests. So now I will be handing it off to Jason, who will cover some challenges in the project management territory.
Thanks, Brittany. So, looking at some pain points for project management, we have live tracking. So, again, building on that lack of a centralized system for communications, this makes it difficult to also receive real time progress or updates without having to physically be there. This creates a ripple effect of delays for large projects that have multiple tasks that all depend on each other. This makes it really easy to be delayed. And managers who are not up to date with the latest delays means that they have missed opportunities for pivoting or problem solving, adding to the already negative effects of delays. We also have resource allocation. Without the proper management or projection of resources, teams might be underutilized or overstaffed. Teams without the proper equipment will run into more delays, or teams who are overstaffed will create proportionate bottlenecks on other projects, just making it overall difficult to meet these deadlines. This leads to stress and confusion, which causes more mistakes that cost money. Lastly, we also have data entry. Projects require a large amount of data to sift through and makes it hard to extract the relevant data. Additionally, because of this large amount of data entry, this makes Logging them take much longer time and much more susceptible to human error. 14% of all construction rework has been caused by bad data entry, creating an $88 billion in avoidable rework globally. Now, switching over from site management, let's take it back to Brittany to go over cost management.
Thanks, Jason. Moving on, it is very common in today's day in the industry to run into budget overruns, and this can be because of a result to reduce profitability and financial strain. So many of the previously mentioned challenges and pain points not only work solely, but they also tend to work with each other and create greater issues, such as one, inaccurate project estimations, which is just estimating resources and the time required to complete a project. And then we also have the scope creep by continuously growing or adding features to projects without corresponding adjustments to time and resource. And on the right, we have a stat that states that over half of capital intensive infrastructure projects experience budget overruns, with 44% of which is because of these scope changes. There's also poor risk management, which leads to unforeseen expenses by failing to identify and mitigate risk before even starting a project. And again, lastly, another study revealed that 91.5% of large projects go over budget and or schedule, with less than 1% being completed on time and within budget, which is caused by a lack of financial visibility. So without having sort of this real-time tracking of expenses, project managers may be unaware of budget deviations until it's too late. And along with financials, it's important for managers to also stay on top with customers, which we will now cover in the customer relation management problems. Great. So on this slide, CRM softwares integrate management tools, making it easy to have a overall centralized system with data to keep clients up to date with any important update or information. And here, 72% of contractors reported challenges in meeting scheduling requirements and overall just keeping 100% communication with their clients, highlighting the need for better project management tools. Without having a good CRM system, managers deal with fragmented data management, relying on data silos to pull spreadsheets, emails, and paper records all manually. So now customers also can experience inconsistent communication since it may be difficult for managers to track interactions, making customers feel undervalued or not seen. With that being said, a good CRM allows managers to communicate timelines, resources, and create this overall transparent communication and trust. So now that we covered various challenges in different areas, Jason will now talk about what we can expect for part two in solving these challenges.
Thank you, Brittany. Again, in part two, we'll be going over cloud solutions to tackle all of these pain points. But what is the relevance of these cloud solutions? Well, for construction statistics, AI has the power to increase profits 50% by 2035. Also, 78% of contractors believe that advanced technology can increase productivity. Architecture, engineering, and construction firms have also experienced a compound annual growth of 50% for cloud storage, highlighting a bigger shift towards cloud implementations. And lastly, 70% of enterprises are expected to use cloud platforms to accelerate business. Now, let's take it to Perry to see his takeaways. Before we let you go, let's take a look to summarize these pain points we went over today. First, we talked about fines and compliance challenges, current statistics show that there is a need to increase safety measures and work culture, especially with increasing fines. We also talked about managing workforce productivity and individual projects. With multiple sites, it makes it inefficient to manually check in on everything and everyone in order to make sure that deadlines are being met. And not to mention, it leads to financial strain. Another pain point was cost management issues. Budget overruns are very frequent in this industry, and they're due to project estimations, scope creep, risk management, and an overall lack of financial visibility. And lastly, we talked about customer relationship. Without a centralized location for data or automated response, it can be difficult keeping up with updating clients and making them feel valued. So, this concludes part one of our two-part webinar. We hope you found this insightful and gained valuable knowledge to apply to your industry. If you would like to scan the QR code to register for part two next week or to learn more, feel free to do so. And if you have any questions, feel free to also email info@imperiumdynamics.com. By partnering with Imperium Dynamics, you gain access to innovative solutions that address your challenges head on. Thank you, Brittany, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, everyone.